This is Bulldog Country, presented by Minnesota Power and Essentia Health.
What is up? Welcome to Bulldog Country. It's our weekly half-hour installment of news, highlights, and analysis of UMD Bulldogs athletics. Our chance to give you, the fans, a bit better idea what actually goes on with these teams and these players that you see competing for UMD. Coming up in tonight's show, we're going to talk about the volleyball team. They are hosting this weekend the NCAA Division II Central Regional Tournament for the first time since 2007. We're also going to check in with the indoor track and field teams. Their seasons have now started. And we're talking with UMD strength and conditioning coach Matt Bauman, kind of a unique view on what goes on day to day with these Bulldogs student athletes. But first, we are joined by UMD men's hockey assistant coach Jason Herder. Coach, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. It's a pleasure.
You take a break last weekend from game action, kind of over the Thanksgiving holiday. That's the second time in recent memory that you've had a break, an idle weekend. Is it a good time to have a break for these guys after you get through the first third of the season, maybe get them re-energized a little bit?
Well, you never know when it's a perfect time to have a break. I know when we had our first break after coming off games in Ohio State, we had a bunch of guys that were banged up, and we wouldn't have been sure if they were able to play the next weekend should we have been playing. But that was a timely break for us. This one coming up, I know the guys after a Saturday night win in Minnesota, they're chomping at the bit to keep playing. So it's sometimes a struggle to keep them focused. You don't want to overteach. You don't want to start putting too much structure in. You got to let them just kind of simmer a little bit and be ready for the next week.
You mentioned that big win over the Gophers your last time out. I mean, that's what we got to talk about, 6-2 over the #1 ranked team in the country. As a coaching staff, you got to be happy with that kind of effort, and obviously the result was what you wanted to.
Well, at the end of the day, you play some really good games, and sometimes you don't win, and sometimes you play poorly and you find a way to win. And this was one of those situations where I think that some timely key plays by our hockey team turned the tide in the hockey game, and our boys just rolled with momentum and took over.
When you're talking about the inconsistency of the results that you have, it seems like some of the losses that this team has throughout the year haven't been necessarily poor games. It seems like they're playing well, and then they come out night two and they get the result that they wanted, and it feels like as a coaching staff you got to be happy with that through the first third, that they can bounce back from maybe a poor Friday night.
Especially early in the season. It's not always about the end result. It's about the effort and the moving forward of getting better every night. And at the end of the day, it matters where you are in March in college sports, right? So for us, we like some of the efforts, and even in some of our losses, we like the direction some of our young kids, some of our freshmen were going as part of their process of getting better. And overall, I think that our effort's been really good every night. I can only think of maybe one game where a total effort wasn't where we expected it to be, and then after that, it was hit and miss, where it might be 10 minutes of an entire game. And I think over the course of, I would say, the last two series, we might have had one period where we weren't quite ourselves, but over the course of, the other 12 periods or 11 periods, it was pretty good, and we were excited with the direction of our team.
And you're doing it with a lot of different guys. You got a lot of different forwards kind of cycling in and out of the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Your D guys are working 7 or 8 deep, so that's got to be encouraging that you have that kind of depth where you can plug and play guys and still have that same kind of effort.
Yeah, it's frustrating for us to have to make those decisions at times. It's part of our job, and I imagine it's frustrating for the student athlete knowing that they're working hard in practice and they can't quite get in the lineup, but it's a great problem to have. It's kind of a luxury, I'll say, where if one player, say with an injury, for example, is out, we feel very confident with who's coming in to step right in and not miss a beat.
And it feels like that is the same way with your goaltenders, Aaron Crandall and Matt McNeely. Both have played well at times. Do you feel like maybe there won't be a true #1 guy throughout the rest of this year, that those two are going to keep battling for ice time as the season gets deeper and deeper?
I think competition's good within practice. Competition within competition, I think, sets a standard for your hockey team or your sports team in general. As far as those two young men are concerned, it's up to them. At the end of the day, it's up to them who comes out and is #1. Aaron came in, and I thought he played outstanding, and he's a big reason why our penalty kill was doing so great, and it gave our kids confidence. And when you have a young team and the mistakes that you do make aren't finding their way to the back of the net as often as they normally would, you gain confidence, and then the kids start not feeling the pressure to make sure they score on every chance, even though we expect it. Then they don't get in their own heads, they don't grip their stick, and I think that you look at what Matt did when he had his opportunity. to play, kills off a 5-on-3 penalty. They score early in the game on a 5-on-3 in Minnesota on Sunday. Who knows which way the game would have went. So I think that both of them done a fantastic job. They're both ready to play. And even Fonz back is right now perceived as our number 3 because he haven't got any games, but he's as hard of a worker as anybody in practice, and he's just waiting for his opportunity as well.
They're holding up the back end of your team.
Yep.
On the front end, on the offensive end, I want to take a look at some film here. Break this down for me here. 2 sophomores are involved in the play. It's Austin Farley and Tony Cameronese. First of all, can you explain how Tony got so wide open? Teams can't lose him, right? And then Austin Farley, it's a no-look pass from behind the net. That's just a lot of chemistry from those 2 guys having played together a lot.
Well, that's one thing we talk about all the time is communication. And that play in particular, I know that Tony's probably screaming his head off for the puck. And one thing about Tony is his speed, you can't match it. There's not many people in the league that can, and when he's effective along the wall, when he doesn't have the puck and sprints to areas where he is open and they communicate, plays like that can happen. If he wouldn't have said anything on that play, Austin, you can't see him. You look at Austin in the play and his back's turned. But he knows Tony's there because Tony's talking. Austin throws it to an area. Tony's right there to tap it in.
You know what it looked like was Kyle Schmidt's game-winning goal in the national championship game.
You know what? It does. You're right, it does.
It's just what I thought about it. It looked
Absolutely.
like the exact same play. But
it's not a play we practice. It's communication we practice.
Thanks a lot, Coach. We're going to bring back Coach later to talk about St. Cloud State, but right now we're going to take a break. Afterwards, we're talking volleyball. Plenty of honors to go around for the Bulldogs this week. Oh, yeah, they're hosting the NCAA regional tournament as well. It's Bulldog Country on the My9 Sports Network. Welcome back. I'm going to be very honest with you here. I'm running out of clever ways to tell you that Hibbing native Kate Lang has won another award. That's going to be a problem for me because I don't think she's done winning them this year for the Bulldogs. The UMD senior this week was named the 2013 Daktronics Central Region Player of the Year. That's after she led the nation by averaging nearly 5.5 kills per set. She was also named to the All-Central Region First Team and will now be on the ballot for the Daktronics National Player of the Year award. Also earning honors this week was UMD junior Julie Rainey. She was named to the Daktronics All-Central Region Second Team. She led the Northern Sun Conference this year with more than 5.5 digs per set, with that mark putting her 13th in the nation. We have talked a lot this year about those 2, Kate Lang and Julie Rainey for the UMD Bulldogs volleyball team. One of their biggest supporting cast members, though, has been Brainerd native and freshman Sydney Mock. She is second on the team, averaging nearly 2.5 kills per set, and she's someone the Bulldogs plan to rely on heavily moving into this weekend's NCAA regional tournament.
In the front row, we're a lot more evenly distributed, which gives other teams a harder time deciding who they're going to go block. So if they release on Kate, Ashley's going to reverse the ball and give it to one of us. We're going to be one-on-one. Other way around, if they release on us, Kate's going to be one-on-one. She's going to put the ball away.
Turning to running now, Coco Chanel once said, quote, "In order to be irreplaceable, one must always be different." I'm not sure what makes UMD's Chanel Miller different, but she surely has made herself irreplaceable. Miller was chosen this week as the Northern Sun Conference preseason indoor track and field Women's Athlete of the Year. That's after she won the postseason honor following last season. Miller was the top points getter last year at the conference meet and finished 6th in the pentathlon at the NCAAs. She and the UMD women, meanwhile, have been tabbed for a 3rd-place finish in the preseason conference coaches poll. The men, on the other hand, are expected this year to finish 6th. It's time for another quick break, but after that, we are going to be joined by UMD's head strength and conditioning coach, Matt Bauman. We'll talk about what it takes to keep these athletes healthy and in the game for the Bulldogs. You're watching Bulldog Country on the My9 Sports Network. Welcome back. For this segment of the show, we are joined by UMD's head strength and conditioning coach, Matt Bauman. Matt, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Explain that role to me, UMD's head strength and conditioning coach. What exactly is it that you do day to day, kind of across the entire year with the UMD athletes?
Myself personally, I'm in charge of 4 different sports: football, volleyball, and then men's and women's basketball, and then oversee the rest of our Division II sports up on campus, and make sure that each team gets programming and assistance in the weight room. As far as the strength and conditioning is concerned, the way I usually explain it to people is we're in charge of 3 things, or we got 3 goals that we want to accomplish with our program. First is obviously try to reach each athlete's athletic potential, try to max out everything they got. Number 2 is injury prevention, trying to eliminate some of these injuries that you see occur in sports. And then 3, develop that work ethic or that mentality that it takes to be successful in college athletics.
What's the biggest thing that you see from high school athletes coming to college? Is it kind of wide eyes, understanding what it takes to be an athlete at that Division II level?
Yeah, you can definitely tell a big difference from the freshmen to the seniors. Freshmen come in, they think they have a good idea of what it takes. They've worked hard in their high schools, but especially at this level, and with our teams here now, we've developed such a mentality and work ethic that I talked about before. That I mean, just going through the motions isn't gonna get it done. Just doing what you have to. Everyone, throughout our sports, always does that little bit of extra. And I think that's why you're seeing some of the success throughout our sports.
It's a year-round thing. I mean, especially if you want to get to the top of your sport, which is what a lot of UMD sports have done. It's not just in-season stuff. I mean, you're working with kids kind of year-round here, even in the summertime.
Oh, absolutely. I was kind of joking with someone the other day, or talking to them about some of the things that people don't realize is how much work these athletes put in. Not just at practice, not just on game day, but year-round. For example, the football and volleyball team, this past summer, pretty much had 90% of their teams up here working for 8-9 weeks over the course of the summer. That's on top of the 14 weeks last spring that they put in. And some of these aren't easy workouts that these athletes are going through. So it's really rewarding for me to see their work and time pay off. With being successful in the seasons.
Those are two teams that this year went to the NCAA tournament, so I guess hard work kind of correlates with success. But talk about the kinds of strength exercise that you do. When I come to football practice or come to a volleyball practice, it's amazing the kinds of things that I see that I wouldn't necessarily expect to see on a football field from these guys, and you're making them work out some of the muscles that maybe another guy or a high school coach wouldn't have them be working out.
Yeah, I try to develop all different athletic qualities. We're not just out there just squatting or benching in the weight room. We're going to try to become a good athlete. So what you may have seen is that our warm-ups and stuff like that, we're going to get the blood flowing, get the athletes going through all different ranges of motion that they would maybe do out on the field or in a running session, stuff like that. But again, I don't think we're doing anything out of the ordinary compared to other strength conditioning programs as far as exercise selection. But, we're doing some things that I've found to be real successful and that have worked and, produce results.
I'm sure it's special for you, for all the student athletes that come through, because you develop quite a relationship with them. But the past 4 or 5 years, you've had your brother here on campus, Jordan Bauman, defensive end for the football team. It had to be special being on the field with him every day, especially considering what he's gone through with the Hodgkin's lymphoma and everything like that.
Absolutely. Like this year was just kind of a blessing. I know he's talked about it, and behind the scenes and stuff like that, we've talked about it, how neat it was just to see him run out there every Saturday, to be able to play in all 12 or 13 games that we did this year, after seeing what he went through last year. Last April, March, you'd been, if you were a betting man, you probably went to put money on him being able to play this year. But it was awesome to see, just knowing how much football meant to him. I talked to someone the other day about that was kind of the driving force for him, when he was going through some of his treatments, just having that chance to play football again, really kept him going and kept his spirits high. So it's good to see it pay off.
Yeah, he became our favorite player throughout the year. So thank you very much, Matt. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're going to take another break here. We're going to come back, though, with UMD men's hockey assistant coach Jason Herder again. We'll talk about his team series with number 2 ranked St. Cloud State this weekend. It's Bulldog Country on the My9 Sports Network.
Bulldog Country is sponsored by UMD Stores. Check us out on the UMD campus or online at umdstores.com.
Welcome back. The UMD women's hockey team on Monday night was hosting Team Russia in the second of 2 exhibition games between those two teams. That's part of a 2-week experience that the Olympic team took here in the Northland to train a little bit at Amsoil Arena and play some games against UMD, Bemidji State, and North Dakota. UMD head coach Shannon Miller called the trip another in a long line of positive international steps for her program.
I think the Russian Olympic team coming here to train for 2 weeks just sheds more light on the fact that the UMD women's hockey team is an international program, always reaching out to help grow the game globally. It's something we've done right from the beginning. It's something we're very proud of.
So on the ice Monday night, it was Team Russia and UMD. The game was seen on the My9 Sports Network in the first period. That's Megan Huertas for UMD. She spins and fires to tie the game at 1 apiece. In the second period now, former Bulldog Alexandra Vafina with the goal. She had a goal and 2 assists in the game for Team Russia, playing against her former mates here at UMD. And then in the second period, that's Jenna McParland with a goal to make it 2-2, another tie, but all Team Russia from there, they get the win. 5-2 was the final on Monday night there at Amsoil Arena. Turning to the men's team, where freshman Alex Iafallo has been not one of the best, but the best points producer for the Bulldogs through the first part of this season. He's got a team-high 5 goals and 10 points this year, but he is quick to say there is still lots to learn about playing college hockey.
This UMD player profile is brought to you by Mining Minnesota.
Holding the zone. Now Raskov, a deflection in front, and they score!
The year could not have started much better for Alex Iafallo.
Now Saunders has to scramble back, and they score!
The freshman has 5 goals and 5 assists through 12 games with UMD, success that he attributes at least in part to his line mates Dom Toninato and Joe Basaraba.
Yeah, they work really hard, and it's just great because we all support each other and have that good chemistry of finding each other in the slot and in the corner, so it's good.
We always like to see everybody contributing. You know, this year especially, I think we got guys from every single age group, every single class that's shown that they can play, and you know, I think that's what brings together such a great team.
Iafallo has certainly shown that he can play at this level, but that is something that was not particularly surprising to the Bulldogs coaching staff.
We've watched him enough to see in the past that he was going to be a player that could play for us. You know, him and Toninato played together last year, so them coming in together was really exciting. He's been able to score early, which doesn't always happen, but you know, he's got such a great work ethic that he creates chances and is able to put some home.
To make all this better, when asked the question, where do you go from here in your freshman campaign, Iafallo made his answer about as simple as possible.
Keep playing my game and use my speed and using the line mates and just keep going.
Sticking with that men's team, we are joined again by UMD men's hockey assistant coach Jason Herder. Coach, we just saw that piece there on Alex Iafallo. Yep. He's a guy that you're very familiar with from your USHL days with the Fargo Force.
Yeah, Alex was playing out in Buffalo, and he was one of our draft picks, and we tried getting him early in the season to come in at Christmas time when our team, we had injuries, and we were trying to bring him and Austin Farley in at the same time, and Alex chose to stay and graduate. I'm not sure if he graduated or if he was in 11th grade, but he wanted to finish his school year out and be with his family, which is totally understandable for a young man, and it still worked out for us, I'll tell you that.
Having that connection through the USHL with not only Alex but a few other guys here on UMD, that's special for a coach to kind of see it come full circle and get to follow those guys' career through college here.
Well, for me, part of my job is recruiting, and a big part of recruiting is getting to know the kids, knowing what they're about, knowing their families, seeing if they're a good fit for us, not only as a hockey player, but in our community, and if they're going to strive well outside the hockey rink, we'll put it that way. 90% of the time when kids come to college, 90% of their time is not spent in the beautiful Amsoil Arena. It's spent out in the community, and you know, I think that Alex fits in well with that. He loves to hunt and fish and do all the stuff that our community has to offer, and I think he chose wisely.
This weekend, your Bulldogs back on the ice here at home. First time in over a month you're at home, so it's got to be nice to be back in Duluth and get to sleep in your own beds before the series with St. Cloud.
Well, no question. It's always nice to be at home. I think our fans are looking forward to having us back here and seeing some of the kids they've been watching on TV in the last couple of weeks try and do it here on home ice. I think it's important also to be on the road, especially early in the season. So I think that's where your team really comes together, because it's always harder to play on the road. So I think it's going to be an exciting weekend for us. I think it's going to be a big challenge for us, and I'm really looking forward to see how our kids handle it.
St. Cloud State comes in with that #2 ranking. You guys always say it's just a number, but does that motivate you a little bit more when a top-ranked team comes into your barn and you don't want to let them leave with 2 wins, do you?
No, we never do. And I think that I think our kids are starting to get the understanding and feel the belief that they can beat anyone in the country, and we've proven that. Notre Dame was ranked, I think, #2 when they came into our building, and there were 2 hard-fought games. North Dakota was ranked #7 in the country, went into their building, and we've had 2 hard games. Minnesota is ranked #1 in the country. We can come out with a split, and I think the kids are starting to believe, and half the battle is the confidence and the belief of what they're capable of doing should they do certain things in the process of a hockey game.
We always talk about rivals in sports. Is St. Cloud State maybe UMD's biggest rival now? I mean, you had them back in the WCHA, now they're in the NCHC. Minnesota going the way of the Big Ten, maybe that rivalry is fizzling out a little bit as far as conference, but St. Cloud State is still right there as far as a team that you want to beat every time out.
Well, for me, I want to beat every team every time out. That's just how we're wired as coaches, but this is only my 3rd year here. I know that I approach every team as being our next rival when I'm doing film and when we're talking to the kids. As far as a rival with program to program, I guess it's too new for me to comment if they're our biggest rival, but I know that our guys want to beat them as bad as they want to beat every team that we play.
There you go. Hopefully you get 2 wins this weekend.
I look forward to it.
Thanks a lot, Coach. I appreciate it.
You.
Before we close out our half hour tonight, we're going to look ahead to next week here in Bulldog Country. Hopefully the volleyball team is at the NCAA Elite 8 tournament in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Men's and women's basketball both get back at home at Romano Gym against the University of Mary and Minot State. Women's hockey is on the road to St. Cloud State, while the men are at home again, this time against Western Michigan. So with that, we are going to say goodbye, Bulldogs fans. Remember, you can keep up with any and all UMD news on our website, nncnow.com. We will be back same time, same place next week. Until then, I'm Zach Schneider. Thank you for watching Bulldog Country here on the My9 Sports Network.